Welcome Christy Hawbecker, who is the founder of Latina Magazine and a rock star agent at CAA. And last but certainly not least, Ms. Tara DeVoe, who is the Chief Marketing Officer at BBDO. So welcome, ladies. Amazing. Are you guys ready to have some fun?
Yeah.
Yes. So again, this panel is all about sharing our stories in terms of how we got to where we are today. So I would like to just pitch out this first question to each of you to tell us what led you to the career that you're in now and just a little bit about what you're doing in your current job. So let's start with you, Beatrice.
Okay, hello everybody. Hola chicas, how's everybody doing? I think what led me to every single job I think that I've had ever since I was pretty little. When I was 8 years old, I started working in radio. And I remember that I was a very big fan of this group called Menudo, which many of you don't know. But your moms and your grandmas will. But I had a crush on this kid called Ricky Martin. So I thought that if I went to my local radio station and asked for a job, I would get to meet Ricky and then one day maybe marry him and I'd be set for life. That didn't work out. But I did go and talk to the owner of the radio station because I noticed that they just had this guy who in my view was very old and he did not represent my demo. So I'm like, I don't see myself represented here in this radio station, and this is a kids radio show. So that was the first time I was able to lure this owner of a radio station to give me a job, saying, hey, nobody here looks like me and you're trying to talk to me, so you gotta hire me. So that was my first time. And then when I started working on TV, I remember that, my first day at work, I was trying to be a TV host. I know Televisa's in the house, so thank you for that. And somebody told me, listen, it's very hard to host TV shows here because you've got to be friends with a producer, or maybe your parents know a producer. I'm like, no, I don't have any friends who are producers. But you know what? I'll be the producer, because if I'm the producer, I can hire myself. That was my hack, right? And so I became one of the first producers because, again, I didn't see anybody that was like me, and I thought, I'm gonna create my own opportunity. And I think now my most recent company, Me Too, was exactly the same, right? Thank you to all the fans for the love. But I think that, I was like, well, this is kind of weird, right? There's so many Latinos in this country who consume so much content on their social feeds. Where is that brand that really speaks to us, right? In English and in social. And I want my 12-year-old daughter, who's always on Snapchat, to also be proud, and see herself represented. So again, for the third time, I thought, I'm going to build a company that really represents my community and that really tells our story. So I think it's a constant for me of every time not seeing myself and sort of making my own opportunities.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Christy.
So I'm so excited to be here because when I was your age, I used to read, well, let me give you some background. So I'm Mexican American. I was born in Texas. But my mom couldn't take care of me, so I was put up for adoption. And I was adopted by a tall, blonde family. So I grew up and I didn't look like anybody in my house. And when I was a teenager, I used to read all of these magazines. You guys read like 17, or there were all these other teen magazines like Teen Vogue, And when I was younger, they never had anybody with like brown hair on the cover. Like everybody was blonde. And I remember thinking, I felt really unattractive and left out. And it turns out a lot of times when you're like 15 or 16, you just feel like that. But I didn't know that. I thought that these magazines were great, but I wish there was somebody like me in them. I also thought I was really fat and not cute. And let me just tell you, I now know I'm not fat, I'm Latina. Whose mothers were reading Essence magazine when we were teenagers. And I always thought that was so cool. I wish I had something like that. And so I went to college at the University of Texas. I went to law school at Stanford, and after I graduated, I knew I wanted to do something for my community, and I decided to start a magazine full of women that look like us. And I did that because I knew that I wanted to tell our stories and show our beauty. And now I work in Hollywood, and I work with all kinds of amazing celebrities. But what I do, and like there's your work and then there's your life's work. And for me, my life's work is how do we tell our stories? Because each and every one of you has an amazing journey and an amazing story, but TV doesn't look like this room yet, does it? So what I'm trying to do, and I work with people like America Ferrera and Jennifer Lopez and Eva Longoria, and they're not just starring in TV now, they're producing TV, so they can decide what stories are being told. There are a number of shows right now in development about young women who are undocumented. We've never seen that on TV before. So I'm hopeful we're going to see that in the next year. And so my life's work is to empower women like all of you in this room so that we can show people who we are and the amazing things that we're capable of.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Christy. Tara. So I have a little bit of a different story. Unlike Beatrice and Christy, for many years, especially when I went into college, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. And so I'm here to tell you, that's okay. There are lots of people who don't know what they want to do from 8 years old, like Beatrice and I were talking about. And that's a blessing. But if you don't know that, that's okay too. And so I spent a lot of my college time kind of experimenting and playing around with lots of different things, just trying to figure myself and life out. I tried acting, I wasn't very good at it. I worked at a newspaper. I did a lot of different, just took a lot of different classes and had a lot of different experiences, just trying to figure out where my place was. One of the things I learned about myself was that I loved brands. I had a really strong opinion about what they should and should not be doing. And I wondered why there wasn't ever anyone like me really represented in the things they were doing. The advertising, back then, most of it was in TV or in print. If there was someone of color, someone black who was in the advertising, I never felt like they were living a life that was like mine and the people that were around me. And so that became, I kind of fell into that as my mission and my goal was to be involved and to become someone who is a decision maker in how those ads are made, the people who are behind the scenes, and the people who are working and actually concepting those ideas. And so that's what I've become, and that's what I've started doing. Wonderful. So, one of the things that I love that's a very common thing among all of your stories is that you saw a lack or an absence of yourselves in a different field and you responded to that by wanting to go into that space. And it's actually very similar for me. So I'm a biomedical scientist by training up until, okay, we got some love for scientists. Excellent, excellent. So I trained as a scientist. I came to DC in 2012 for science policy to work on education. STEM education, because we have this real need for more women and more people of color in the STEM workforce. So who's into STEM or science, tech, engineering, and math? Raise your hand. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So I love that each and every one of us up here today is here because we saw that there was a need for something and we responded to it by wanting to go into that space and make room for others. And so with that, I want to come back to Beatrice. So you talked about this a little bit, and actually Christy got into this as well, but how important is it for women of color to use media and channels to tell their own personal stories via Instagram, via Snapchat, etc.?
I think that the best thing that could have happened to our very underserved and underrepresented communities has been digital media, for sure. Because no longer do we need to be waiting for an opportunity. No longer do we need to wait for somebody to think that our stories matter, that we have a great story to be told on television or in film. we can create those opportunities. So I think it's very important, obviously, that media represents